Hagoromo Otsutsuki is the most misunderstood character in the Naruto franchise. Yes, Hagoromo, the supposed god of the Naruto world, is misunderstood, and as the title suggests, weak? Yes, I said it. Now, many fans are under the assumption that Hagoromo is the omnipotent god of the shinobi world, possessing all abilities and unparalleled strength. But what if I told you that was wrong? So yes, this is exactly what we will be discussing today, and how the Naruto community has misconstrued Hagoromo's power and narrative, and where he more rightfully should be. We'll go over all of his lore and interactions and determine why I consider Hagoromo to be a true fraud. Now, before we get into that, if this isn't your first time seeing my channel, then maybe consider subscribing, as it would help me out a lot. Same goes for if you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a thumbs up and check out my TikTok page and see more of my Naruto content. And also, a little side note, whenever I claim him to be a fraud or fodder, I am more specifically talking about how the community compares him to characters such as Isshiki Otsutsuki. Now, before we delve into Hagoromo's power, I first need to tell you guys how this will be structured. So in order to understand his power, we need to understand his life along with his lore prior to getting into how strong alive Hagoromo is. Then to end it off, I'll go over the most contentious version, Ghost Hagoromo, to restate. Before we go directly into his scaling, we'll first go into Hagoromo's character. And Hagoromo Otsutsuki is the son of Kaguya Otsutsuki, who once came down to Earth to harvest the great fruit, yet became corrupted by the chakra fruit. Kaguya then betrayed by her two sons, Hagoromo and Hamura. The two beloved things she brought forth now stand before her, attempting to kill her. Kaguya, being frustrated, brainwashed Hamura and forced him to fight his brother, to which Hagoromo, clearly being the superior of the brothers, beat him pretty fairly. What's interesting about this is Hagoromo is actually the only person we've ever seen unlock both their Mangekyo Sharingan and their Rinnegan at the same time, which, again, outclasses his brother Hamura, who only possessed the Byakugan at the time. The reason as to why isn't important is because this means that Hagoromo did most of the damage against Kaguya, right? And, well, yes, as that may be the case, and it doesn't hold too much value, as this Kaguya is exceptionally weaker than the one we've seen in the war due to many factors. The largest being how much more chakra she had, meaning that this Kaguya doesn't really scale anywhere, or at least near the level of the War Art Kaguya, and could be weaker than a Jubi Madara, potentially, from what we know. Now, yes, that is conjectural, and I don't really quite believe that. However, there is no real way to measure her, which is important because she is kind of like the baseline necessity for Hagoromo after defeating her, since he seals the Ten Tails inside of himself and he becomes the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, the first Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. So this means that he is now unquantifiably above Kaguya, who is also unquantifiable in strength. This is also being extremely charitable to Hagoromo, as the whole fight could have just been them chasing Kaguya around for months, and she was just using really big jutsu and ran out of chakra before them. But again, I will grant some relativity just to be generous. Now, to expand off that real quick before I move back into the Ten Tails section, I first want to mention how many people tend to say that Hagoromo is some Otsutsuki slaying god and is said to be close to Madara in power. And it's only because he's much weaker than he was when he was a Jinchuriki, and that's not really his true power. Which, for most characters, yes, they would be significantly less powerful without the Biju that they had. But for Hagoromo, that's not really the case. Let me explain. In the Q&A Kishimoto fanbook in the back section of Data Book 3, someone asked Kishimoto if Gaara could still use sand even though he no longer has Shukaku. So to which Kishimoto said, quote, "Once it's ingrained in you, you can't take anything away, not even sand," end quote. Now, let me tie this back into Hagoromo. So we know that Mastered KCM 1 Naruto and KCM 2 Naruto and all the Jubi Jinchuriki all are ingrained with Hagoromo's 6 paths power, and the power is shown on Naruto's collar and stomach, as we can see the symbols. And the part we just need to focus on here is on Jubito's back. We see that Jubito had Hagoromo's same exact pattern, meaning that Hagoromo was a Jubi Jinchuriki for so long that these characters who gained the Ten Tails also gained the power and the essence that Hagoromo once had with that body. Which, as the Gaara statement from earlier, with Hagoromo's power was ingrained into the Ten Tails, it just cannot be taken out. With this, you can conclude that Jubito is actually stronger than Hagoromo was, since he now has all of his abilities. And this isn't really super inconsistent, as we know Hagoromo was incapacitated for months compared to Obito's few hours, to which Obito got up and was able to fight and react to Kaguya, this being an Obito who is even stronger than he was while Jinchuriki. Now, I don't really believe that Hagoromo loses to Jubito, but it is an interesting, conversation. And Jubito is stated to have the same power as the Sage. So, yeah, a live Hagoromo being weaker than base Obito is not really that like inconsistent, as this Obito was able to keep up with Naruto, who instantly mastered all of Hagoromo's abilities better than he did, such as Yin and Yang release, and on top of his six paths levitation. This would be the same Naruto who was able to react and combat and outspeed her and overpower a far stronger Kaguya, because DMS Obito is kind of just a beast. And this would be again a definitely a more powerful Kaguya than the one that Hagoromo fought. And his alive ninjutsu is sort of cool. He does have the largest scale Susanoo we've ever seen, which scales really nowhere. Not to mention his dojutsu would be the only like formidably sound thing for him to do in a fight, because his proficiency with ninjutsu is lackluster at best. Hagoromo literally has to weave hand signs with the summoning jutsu, To conclude his alive section, Hagoromo does not stand a chance against Six Paths Naruto or any high tier for that matter, so please stop saying this Hagoromo slams Isshiki or adult Naruto. Now, yes, that was rather brief, but here we go, the bread and butter, Ghost Hagoromo. Now, similar to our previous section, I would like to hold off of delving into his power directly, as we first need to know how he currently exists. Now, yes, the way Hagoromo currently exists is complicated, but I have come to a relatively simple conclusion to which I think you guys may agree with. So to get this out of the way, Hagoromo did not transcend death or anything remotely. He is dead and is in the afterlife as stated. Now, yes, as he may be dead, he is still existing as a soul floating through time. So chakra is directly correlated to a mental and spiritual state, meaning that since there's so much of his chakra derived from Hagoromo on Earth, such as Bijou, as I explained previously, or everybody who possesses some sort of minute portion of his chakra due to genetic inheritance, or all of his children's reincarnates, or all these chakra sources are still connecting to Hagoromo's soul and just connecting that to Earth. So this does allow Hagoromo to be conscious about the world's development, to which he can also feel and sense certain things that happen. Now, this is commonly misunderstood to be Hagoromo knew how to stop Madara or Kaguya, but just decided not to, which is wrong, as when he first appears, he didn't even get Naruto's language right. Same with the fact that he states he did not foresee any of the events of the Fourth Great Ninja War, or even later, like I'm pretty sure he says that he's gonna have to leave it up to Naruto because he can't stay in this world very long. So he's really not just like holding back and just letting Naruto do it to, complete the cycle of hatred and end it. So this means that Hagoromo is neither omnipresent nor omniscient, which most importantly, it means that Hagoromo has not been farther along in the timeline than the rest of the world. And with that information, we can conclude that Hagoromo has been crossing time for a millennium, as stated, but this has just kind of been a linear path leading up to the point, kind of like how we go, but he's just lived all of our lives whilst dead. So he's gone on that singular path rather than just crossing time wherever he dare so chooses. However, Hagoromo has knowledge of prior events that took place up until the war, such as the reincarnates, but past that, things that don't directly involve him, Hagoromo doesn't really know much. So that's how I mentioned earlier that Hagoromo did not know the modern human language. Same with modern ninjutsu, as he still weaves signs for the summoning jutsu, as I mentioned in the first one, to which many average shinobi can do with just their thumb and a blood seal. Now, to get into his power, similarly with how Hagoromo said Kaguya was stronger than him, and now he stated that One-Eyed Jubidara was approaching his level, which again certainly isn't like disingenuous, as I stated earlier that Ten Tails Obito may more or less be a rival to Hagoromo, which is also supported by the volume extras. I mean, saying that Three-Eyed Madara would destroy Hagoromo would be very disingenuous. But last but not least, the thing that is most commonly brought up is how he would actually interact with characters in a fight, leading people to the conclusion of Hagoromo could just spam Izanagi and has no consequences and can use Kamui and Sasuke's Rinnegan, which is just really stupid, because outside of a rumor from someone who has lived thousands of years before him and has no idea how strong there's no basis for the fact that he has every single dojutsu, jutsu, ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu effect ever. And there's no way to prove he has Sasuke's Rinnegan just because he gave it to him. That's literally just stupid. which many are quick to note that since he gave Sasuke one, he'll give himself one. And if you say something along these lines, then please stop. Hagoromo gave Naruto and Sasuke pieces of his chakra, not actually a new layer of glowing skin and a new eyeball, but rather his six pass chakra, which allowed them to unlock a six pass exclusive ability that was already within themselves. So Hagoromo can't just, do that to himself and give himself more of himself. He is also cannot just spam Izanagi to bend reality to his will, which is the reason why I say he would never do this in character. Is since Hagoromo's entire character is the bringer of peace and order, and he just strives for peace and order amongst the world. However, in the face of the largest corruption to global peace and the biggest threat to global peace, he had no other choice but to pray that Naruto could save the world, that Naruto could beat Madara, that Naruto could steal Kaguya, that Naruto could break the cycle of hatred that he started. And this again just supports the idea that Naruto is stronger than Hagoromo, and Naruto is just better than Hagoromo. Now, yeah, all jokes aside, this wasn't a super serious or long video, and Hagoromo is a cool character with many cool abilities, such as creation all things, which characters such as, Tsunade also have a version of. However, many among the community tend to alter his power level per se, which is just wrong and has led him to being probably the most overrated and misconstrued character in the entire series. Now, yes, he is very powerful, more powerful than any other Kage, really. I mean, other than maybe some Boruto era or Naruto. However, many fans tend to believe that he would again beat up Isshiki on a fight or just slam Momoshiki and adult Naruto on his neck. So, it's kind of just disingenuous to take his scaling that high. And I don't even think Kishimoto cared to portray it as that kind of thing. So again, if you did like the video, drop a like and tell me what videos you guys do want to see next. Also, another announcement is once we do hit 1K or something as important as that maybe, I will do an in-depth analysis on Itachi versus Pain, which is arguably the most contentious fight in Naruto. And yeah, we'll see what you guys think. And as always, love you guys.